Hello, everybody. Today we are on part 4 of the Secrets of Transit workshop. And today I'm talking about Saturn's transits. And Saturn's transit are the most important ones that we watch out for. I'm also going to talk a little bit about Rahu Ketu transits and eclipses, but mostly the focus is on Saturn because he is the bringer of karma, and we need to understand it, work with it, and deal with it, because whenever he's coming, we are going to have to deal with it. And in 2024 he's in Aquarius, 2025 he goes into Pisces. So what are the major signatures, what to do? Also, I'll be talking about the Saturn Rahu conjunction in this. Hello, everybody. I'm Komilla Sutton, and we are talking Saturn's transits, part 4 of the Secrets of the Transit workshop. Do remember to subscribe, press the bell notification. How we come to this most important part of the transits is Saturn's transit. And I've also added Rahu's transit now to the class because so many of you are feeling. So this Saturn, beautiful Saturn, is from my local temple here. We have a temple in Livermore, which is about 15 miles from where I live. And beautiful Saturn there, and they dress him up so nicely. And that is so. So Saturn is the most watched planet. His transits are always challenging. Challenging doesn't mean it's bad, but we have to be prepared for it. Saturn is a long transit and must be studied in more detail. Saturn's orbit is 29 years. It remains in one sign for 2.5 years, one nakshatra for 1 year. Saturn's transit usually brings challenges, delays, stresses that releases old karma that needs to be addressed. Therefore, we must plan how to deal and cope with Saturn's transit. My thinking is that we should not wait for the Saturn's transit to happen to start doing the remedy, but we should consider that we want to do Saturn's remedies as a part of our life. And it's only doing good work. So Saturn's aspect during the transits will also bring issues to the signs and planets it influences. I usually only study the graha or planetary aspects in transit. Saturn's challenges must be weighed against what else is happening in the chart. Dasha, Bhukti, other transits. So although we are talking in isolation, so like right now for Virgo ascendants, Jupiter's in their 9th house. So he's doing the balancing act. Mercury may be strong, Mercury's in Gemini. So the one impact of Ketu in Virgo is not enough. Similarly, when you are analyzing, you have to look at the whole picture. Most important is the attitude on how you're dealing with the transits. I know so many people, they keep on asking me, and they never follow the advice, and during the difficult time, then they are creating that rajasic active activity, and it's causing discomfort and trouble. So that's not what we are thinking when we are astro planning our lives. That's really what it is. Saturn's transit through a sign where there is Lagna planets is more stressful than if there is an empty house. However, Saturn's transit to the 4th and 8th houses is an exception. Even if 4th and 8th house are empty, then those are challenging transits. So take care of them. So what are the things that we are looking at Saturn's transit? The transit of Saturn, Saturn through the signs, dignity by transit, exaltation, debilitation, Saturn through the nakshatras, transit through Padana Vamsha, quite detailed, and Saturn's aspects by transit, Saturn's transit through houses, Saturn's transit over our ascendant and natal planets. Now, these are very detailed depending on how advanced a student of Vedic astrology you are. You may only want to see Saturn through signs. You don't want to see the nakshatras and Padana Vamsha. But as I said, that Monica has written an excellent book on Vedic astrology um, in Spanish for all the Mexican students. So you should take that book and you can study it. Then Sade Sati and the moon, other major transits, Ashtama Shani, Kantaka Shani, conjunctions, planetary wars to Saturn. If there's a Saturn-Mars conjunction, we already experienced that this year. Uh, Saturn, Rahu, Saturn, Ketu, Rahu is next year. Conjunctions of and planetary wars of Saturn with benefics, annual combustion of Saturn, Sasha Mahapurusha by transit once every 7 years, retrogrades of Saturn every year. We discussed that already. Gandanta crossings once every 9 years. Ashtaka Varga, we are not studying that. But you see, like this conjunction, combustion of Saturn. I did a conference, I organized a conference with Saturn combustion. It was such a great conference, but I had so much problem with people complaining, delays. The delay was post conference because the delay in giving the recordings. So the combustion was bothersome for a long time. So the day once a year when Saturn Sun conjoin, it's not a good day. So Saturn is in Aquarius, but Saturn's orbit 29 years. It transits through one sign for 2.5 years. Its transit is slow and sure, making its impact felt in our lives. We should always be respectful of Saturn's transit and never ignore its impact. Saturn retrogrades once a year, combusts once a year too. Aquarius, this is where Saturn is now, and Pisces next year. So will be impacted by this transit. So I made a list of the transit of Saturn over the next 14 years. And you can take a photo of this, but you can see that up to 29th March, it's in Aquarius, then 29th March 2025 to 2nd June 2027, it's in Pisces. Then you see it's very interesting here that Saturn goes into Aries in 27, then retrogrades back to Pisces in 27, then goes back to Aries in 28, then 29 it goes to Taurus, retrogrades back in Aries. So 3 times Saturn is going to be debilitated. So you see all the things for the next few years. And the main thing about Saturn is that Saturn is the karma that we have to deal with. And during the transit, when Saturn aspects the 10th house, this can be an important time when old karma gets released. 10th house is the house of karma, not just career, but old karma too. When Saturn aspects the 10th house, it stimulates and releases old karma. Saturn's transit through the 1st, 4th, and 8th house from the Lagna or the moon is when he aspects the 10th house and Saturn releases this old karma. And therefore, Saturn's transit over Moon's sign is most challenging part of Sade Sati. Now, this 10th house of aspect of Saturn on the 10th house, and what type of karma he can release. He can bring some health issues, he can bring some obstacles, he can bring some financial issues, he can bring career change, something um, that is there that we can do. That and it's usually unexpected, so we can prepare for is that that this transit is taking place, therefore there are going to be challenges to it, so we are preparing for that. Sorry, this is just a repeat. As a consulting astrologer, you need to learn how to express the Saturn experience without bringing added fear and anxiety. You have to be truthful because you don't want to tell everybody, oh, everything is fine, everything will be fine, when you see that there are some challenging transits. But at the same time, you have to think, that this happens to everybody and that people should be patient and they need to take responsibility themselves of how they are going to handle the transit. So that is the most important thing when you're looking at the transits. Uh, and then Saturn is debilitated every mm, um, 29 years or so. And the next Saturn debilitated transit is 2nd June 2027 to 18th April 2030. And this is coming in 3 installments, like I showed you. We have installment 1 in 27, installment 2 in 29, and the third installment of Saturn debilitated in 30. So this is not the easiest of the transits that we are going to be dealing with. And so that is, something to watch out for. It could be directly connected to your chart, or it could be world issues, your country issues, something. We get affected by everything. So and then Saturn's aspects third, seventh, 10th house from Lagna, Moon, these houses will also be affected. And whenever Saturn aspects the 10th house by transit, then you can have some unexpected issues, which I already spoke to you about. And this is our governor of California, Gavin Newsom's chart. And right now, Saturn is in Aquarius, and he is not aspecting anything, he's aspecting his ascendant, opposite to his ascendant, opposition. But the exact opposition will be in around March, maybe February, March next year, because Saturn will only reach 27 degrees of Aquarius around 2025. And then Gavin Newsom is going to get Saturn in the 8th house in 2025. And from the 8th house, Saturn will aspect his 10th house. So I think, anyway, some things, you see that his term as governor will be coming to an end. So it's like a natural attrition, not that he is making anything happen, but naturally uh, he cannot become the governor again. So that is something to watch for. There may be, because in California a governor can be elected for 2 terms consecutively, which is 8 years. Then they have to take a year off and then start again. So also you can see Leo, Aquarius, where Rahu Ketu are coming. So that also signifies change. Saturn going into Pisces, aspecting the 10th house. And one of the things always with Saturn going into Pisces, which is also will be his Saturn return, that and then is connected to health. So those are the things. Now, I don't ever give advice on health matters because I don't know enough myself. I can just say that Saturn in the 8th house is challenging transit in 2025, and you should not neglect your health. That's approximately all that I would say uh, in the thing. Then you can look at Saturn's transit by houses. If planets are placed in houses, then we must pay extra attention, and planets get affected according to house rulership. Uh, and um, and we can also study Saturn's transit via nakshatras. When Saturn changes nakshatras, it will also change its position in Nadi nakshatra. Saturn stays in nakshatra for 1 year, but Saturn may stay in some nakshatras longer if he is retrograding in that nakshatra. So if you have moon, ascendant, other planets in the nakshatra, Saturn can give added stress. And here we see that in Saturn's transit over the next few years, right now, up to this year, 2024, Saturn was in Shatabhishak till 8th of April. Then, sorry, 6th of April. Then 6th of April to 3rd October 2024, Saturn is going to be in Purva Bhadra. Then 3rd of October to 27th December goes retrogrades back and forward in Shatabhishak. Then 27th December to 27th April is in Purva Bhadra. And then 27th April to 3rd October 2025 is Uttara Bhadra. And then he will go on to um, um, Revati. And then I think retrograde back to Uttara. Major conjunctions that are taking place. One we already faced was in Purva Bhadra Nakshatra, the Mars-Saturn conjunction. And then the Rahu Saturn, which is on 13th of April 2025, also in Purva Bhadra Nakshatra. So if you have moon in Purva Bhadra, or any planet, they're getting these heavy hitting conjunctions that we do need to watch out for. And I have a full list of these. I'm not going to go through it, but you can take a photo of it. And but you can see here, Saturn goes back to Purva Bhadra till 2026 January. And then Uttara Bhadra. So there's the retrogrades, and going forward, the Saturn's transit through the nakshatras is important as well. And then you can look at even deeper to see if Saturn is in one pada. Saturn can stay in one pada Navamsha for 1.5 months. It can stay longer in padas where it retrogrades or stations. And you can study if Saturn is either Vargotama or Ashtamamsha. And I'm just going to explain. Vargotama is that it is in the same sign in the Rashi and the Navamsha. Ashtamamsha is when it is in the same, it's in the 8th sign in the Navamsha. So let us look at it right now. Saturn is see, Saturn is in Aquarius, and in the Navamsha, this is a Taurus Navamsha. So he continues staying here for this month, next month, because he is not moving anywhere. He's retrograding back. And I like to watch Saturn's transit through by Navamsha as well. And if we go another month, see, so this is 9th of September, sorry, 9th of July, Saturn is still in Taurus. And Saturn, like see here in the Navamsha, Saturn Ketu conjunction is taking place. And then another month, And see, now Saturn has gone into Aries. So let me see where Saturn is. Yeah, so on 19th of August, for about a month and a half, Saturn is going to be in Aries Navamsha. That means it has an underlying weakness. Here you can see Ketu has joined again. This is in September. And by October, Saturn has gone into Pisces Navamsha. So these are more subtle changes, and we can look at that if a planet is exactly going over our uh, 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 planets. And just generally, that Saturn is not in its strongest position. So, uh, while Saturn's transit over the whole sign can be problematic, we must know the exact transit by degree and pada when the most intense experience is there. The exact transit of Saturn is never easy. It brings stress, pressures, challenges. It can also delay things, obstacles. We need to prepare to deal with it. So, if you are having an exact transit of Saturn, then you have to know, okay, this month, my choices are limited because Saturn is exactly transiting my planets. And, therefore, we are not trying to rush through things or push through our agenda because things are not going to work out the way we want them to work out. So, that is the most important factor. Uh, so, it is important, crucial not to cut corners and cut or hurry decisions during the intense Saturn transit, as he needs to complete his transit before you get his message. Saturn's transit over the Lagna uh, is a major one where Saturn aspects the 10th house through two, therefore releasing old karma. So the time of the exact transit by Pada is very important. So right now, if you are in Taurus Pada of Purva Bhadra Nakshatra, then Saturn is sitting there for 3 months, and this is a challenging time. So it's usually better to make decisions after the transit has passed, unless you have no choice. If you let go, for example, if you are let go from your job by the company, or health is another area, some things you can't avoid, but if there is a choice, then you are being very careful and cautious of it. So some of the main transits that we watch for is Saturn's transit over the sun. So Saturn's transit can bring an identity crisis when he's transiting over the sun. I have noticed that Saturn over Sun during teenage years is challenging. Many young people go through a big crisis during the first transit of Saturn over their Sun. Saturn over Sun can be a time for stressful relationship with father. He can be going through problems or a challenging period in your relationship with him. But Sun, I couple of young girls' charts I read when Saturn went over their Sun. They started becoming anorexic, not eating properly. They didn't know who they were, and after that I started watching it, and very often people ask for their children's charts being done, and people changing universities, not settling down in jobs, all those things. Jobs would be more in the 20s, but teenage years, Saturn transiting over the sun is very important. uh, Then Saturn's transit over Moon is intense, Sade Sati. We'll talk about that in a minute. Saturn's transit over Rahu Ketu. Rahu is never easy. It's a malefic over malefic. It's a time to take extreme care not to make crucial decisions. It can also bring health issues to fore. Ketu, Saturn's transit over Ketu can release old karma through expenses or sudden obstacles. So it is again malefic over malefic, so essential to watch. Saturn over Saturn, we saw that in Gavin Newsom's chart. He's got the governor of California. He's got Saturn in Pisces. So it's a Saturn return. A 29-year cycle has ended. A new one is beginning. It's always a key reset in our lives. I think Western astrology pay a lot of importance to Saturn return. But for Vedic astrology, we just take that as an important time of life. 29th birthday is the first Saturn return. This is the time when we finally mature, decide to take responsibilities more seriously. In extreme cases, we see people lose their lives or take them during Saturn return. So we should be supportive of family, friends, children during these years. Then I won't talk about this. Then Saturn's major transits, these need extra attention. We have Sade Sati, Kantaka Shani, Ashtama Shani, 64th Navamsha, 22nd Rekana, Dhaya. Of these, I'm talking only about the top three, Sade Sati, Kantaka Shani, and Ashtama Shani. Sade Sati is important to plan. Saturn's, sorry. So Dhaya, it's very popular Indian word. It means 2.5. So any started of Saturn is called Dhaya. It's a 2.5. However, Dhaya is usually referred when Saturn transits the fourth house from the moon or the eighth house from the moon. So fourth house from the moon is Kantaka Shani, eighth house is Ashtama Shani. Dhaya is regarded as a challenging transit. Now, Sade Sati is a 7.5-year transit of Saturn over 12 first, second house from your natal moon. Sade Sati indicates a complete transformation of life. As a result, your priorities are going to change, usually a change in career and life direction. So the key points of Sade Sati are the start of Sade Sati, 25th Nakshatra transit, the year Saturn will transit over the moon. So right now, people with moon in Aquarius, late degrees of Aquarius, Janma Nakshatra transit, that means if your moon is in Purva Bhadra, right now Saturn is there. If Saturn stations over the moon, is there exact conjunction of Saturn with Rahu, Ketu, or Mars over your exact degree of moon? This can be a crisis time. And if Saturn is going to make 1, 2, 1 or 3 transits over the moon. Sade Sati is a time of life that must be experienced. It can bring about immense growth if we use the energies properly. However, if we avoid significant issues and refuse to learn what life has taught us, Sade Sati can be complicated. You see, Sade Sati is regarded as a 7.5-year transit, but it's not all the 7.5 years that is difficult. But we have to kind of have a degree of caution over that time, that we are being careful with our choices, not exaggerate our negative issues. I see Sade Sati as a time of growth and change. It would be best if you made decisions with careful thought and patience. You should avoid making choices that seem too good to be true. Hard work, study are the best antidotes for Sade Sati. It is not a time when we can forget responsibility. It's excellent time to do a paya remedy at times of Sade Sati. Plan for it. It is a problematic transit. There must be some impact. No one can escape energy of Saturn. We can only modify it by doing the right thing, keeping our heads down, choosing a simple life during the time of transit. So this is Bill Gates' chart, and you see his moon is in Pisces. So right now, or in January 2023, he started Sade Sati. And this is also the time that he got divorced, separated. And then 25, 26, Saturn is going to go over his moon. And actually, Saturn doesn't go up to his moon in 25. It'll be 26 when the intense Sade Sati is on for him. So therefore, I like to think that we need to plan for Sade Sati, because if we are planning, that means that we are not just going blind into this transit. We have got some idea what to do. Now, last time when I had Sade Sati, I had the wisdom of my astrology, Jyotisha. So I was very cautious and did all the correct things and patience and everything. And there were some issues, but I felt that I handled it very well. But somebody like Bill Gates maybe doesn't believe in astrology, doesn't follow. So whatever comes, you have to deal with it. So whereas we as astrologers, we have a third eye, so we can see what the issues are, and then we can also try to do something